Hello, this is Mike Regan, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to this YPO Ask the Expert session. I have the honor and privilege of serving as the chairman of the Manufacturing Excellence Network within the Young Presidents Organization. For those of you that are not familiar with Young Presidents Organization, YPO as we like to call it, it is the premier organization in the world for CEOs and presidents of organizations with over 30,000 members spread around the world. It is an organization that has brought great value to me personally. I've been a member for 30 years. And throughout that time, I've learned quite a bit, and more importantly, had the opportunity to meet some great people, people who have become lifelong friends, and also people that have helped us build our business here in Chicago, a company called Transact. It is my pleasure to welcome you today to this session, and we've got some great resources. We have Elena Maria Carla Torre and Gayatri Khanna that are going to be here to talk about some of the things they've gone through in building some great businesses, lessons that they've learned, information and advice that they can share with you. And if you have questions, we really encourage you to ask away. This is not a session for us. It's really a session for everyone that's dialed in. One of the things that we are passionate about within the Manufacturing Excellence Network, we are a sub-network within YPO that has about 3,800 members. Our mission is that we help our members run their business better. And how we do that is by providing them with great, relevant content that's useful to them and is something that they can not just absorb, but apply in running their business. The second thing that we provide in terms of helping them run their business better is a great network, not just a network of outside resources, the best and the brightest from all sorts of places around the world, but the resources within our network, and that would be the individual members. One of the things that makes YPO so special is that it's really an organization where members can learn from other members. And because of that, we can build a stronger organization. So internally, sometimes within the MXN, we joke about it being divine math, and 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2. 1 + 1 equals 11 when you combine it with the power of the MXN. And the third thing that makes YPO so special for all of us here is not just the content, it's not just the network of the members, but also the capacity of the organization to help us address real relevant issues that for any of you on the call today that are running businesses are real life experiences that you encounter on each and every day. So with that thought in mind, what I'd like to do is introduce you to Elena and Gayatri and start off by asking each one of them to give you a little bit of background about their business, where they came from. And I could read the bios here. I have the bios, but it would detract from hearing from them. And really what you want to do is hear from them, not have me read bios. So Gayatri, tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey as an entrepreneur and a member of YPO.
So my name is Gayatri Khanna, and my business is called Milaya Embroideries. It's about 22 years old. So basically, what we do is hand embroideries, which is a skill out of India, and we do hand embroideries for luxury brands around the world. And this skill is used on garments and clothing, as well as accessories, as well as bags, shoes, jewelries, anything that can be embroidered at all. So we work with some luxury brands, about 150 luxury brands around the world, like Versace, Armani, Oscar, Dolce Gabbana, and so on. And we have our marketing presence in all the four major capital cities of the world: London, New York, Paris, and New York, and Milan, sorry. And we are based out of Bombay in India. So now we have, thanks to various reasons, we have also stretched out into home, arts, interiors, and recently launched our own homegrown label called Gaia, which we hope to launch soon in the global arena as well. So this is what we do. I've been a YPO member since 2018, and just as I was getting warmed up, unfortunately, the pandemic hit. But I have to say, the last couple of years through this, we our chapter has been wonderful. We've learned a lot from each other, and we did have a mini forum for manufacturing within India, so that kept us going. and great exposure. So it's wonderful platform, and it's wonderful to be here today.
Very fine. Thank you very much. Elena, tell us a little bit about your business and your journey as an entrepreneur.
Um, Hi everyone, my name is Elena and I'm the CEO of ICMA. ICMA is a paper mill company built in 1933 by my great grandmother, one of the first Italian entrepreneur, women Italian entrepreneur. And we are specialized in and transform paper, giving it different finishing effect, leather, silk, velvet, metal, in order to create amazing luxury packaging. Our clients are, as Guthrie clients, the top fashion brands in the world. We work also for perfumes, jewels, and watches, amazing companies that need a special paper for create their packaging. And one of the biggest driver in our company is doing that in a sustainable way in order to give a sustainable product for our clients. I joined YPO in 2015, and I find an amazing journey with this group because I had the chance to meet amazing manager, amazing entrepreneur all around the world, where with whom I can talk as a peer, and with whom I can discuss about problem, new product, project ideas, and so on. And I think it's an amazing opportunity because they are not always from your country, and they are frequently abroad, and they can have a different point of view of yours. So they can help you to grow and learn new things.
Great. Listen, that's wonderful. So we have both of you in the luxury brand items. We need to talk offline about some discounts that I need for Christmas coming up. But let's talk about the journey over the last couple of years. One of the things that we've realized in the Manufacturing Excellence Network is we're living in a world that's significantly different than it was 2 years ago. I call it the pre-COVID, post-COVID world. So Guthrie, walk us through, you mentioned it itself. You joined YPO in 2018. Just as you're starting to ramp up the journey within YPO, we have COVID, and it's affected India differently than it's affected Italy, different than it's affected the United States or other parts of the world, but it has effect everywhere. The magnitude may be different, but the impact is consistent across the board. Help us understand your journey pre-COVID, some of the challenges post-COVID, and some of the things you're doing today.
So actually, pre-COVID, it's a fashion luxury business is very fast moving, and just before you finish one season, you're already on the next one. And even recessions didn't hurt the luxury business in the past. So one never ever could preempt that there would be a situation where the whole luxury business is going to just come crashing down. But unfortunately, that is what happened, at least in our business, because it's fashion. And we were all locked up at home more or less for a long time. So fashion took a big big turn down, and basically I think the numbers dropped of luxury at least 70%. So at that point we decided that we should innovate and try and do something more with our same resources. So we launched different businesses. That's when I launched the homegrown brand. We started doing interiors, and we decided that we use the same resources and innovate new products. So that's what we're in our journey. That was a plus that came out, an opportunity that came out of this time. So right now we're in a situation where luxury is still going to take a little bit of time to get back in terms of fashion. I think the increase has only been about 25% in the last 6 months, I would say. So we're hoping that things will get better in 2022. However, I think the diversification of what we're doing now, using the same resources and strengthening our ability to reach different markets, because we already have offices, marketing offices in these areas. So the ability to diversify is pretty easy, and we should now zone in on that aspect. I think the key for us right now is innovation and to use our resources in new ways. that is the way forward for us, and I hope that it moves in the correct directions coming up.
Okay, I'm gonna, within YPO, we have a parking lot for the members of the audience. I'm gonna put a couple of items in the parking lot because I would like to go back and talk about how you innovate when there's a constant, a constraint on resources within the organization. But let's put that in the parking lot. Elena, help me understand some of the issues that you faced in a pre-COVID versus post-COVID world in the luxury brand. Maybe it's similar to Gayatri, but help us understand your journey and how it's impacted your business.
Also, before COVID arrived, in my business, sustainable and the environmental approach company had started to growing up day after day. The fashion brands starting be more focused on those kind of topic. And I see the change in COVID take was to accelerate a lot this approach. So today, it's not a plus, it's a must-have to be ethical, to be environmental friendly, to have a low-impact approach. Luckily for us, we were ready before the COVID. During the COVID, we decided to apply and we obtained the B Corp certificate as a first paper mill in Europe in the fine paper, obtaining the B Corp certification in one of the first in the world. And I think this helped us a lot in order to prove the truth of what we say to our clients. Because we, in our business today, there is the big problem of greenwashing. Everyone tries to say they produce ethically, environmentally friendly, with low impact. But this is a problem because the market is not yet ready. The final customer is not ready to really understand what it means, what we say, if they are true or right or not. And the greenwashing is getting a problem. So the biggest difference pre-COVID and post-COVID is the fast and the acceleration of those topics.
So that's kind of an interesting thing. I want to maybe take a step back and see if I make sure I got this clear. You're saying that one of the, you mentioned sustainable, ethical, environmentally friendly. Were there other? You're saying COVID had an impact on those three areas. Your ability to be able to present that to the marketplace, is that correct?
Before the COVID, we were ready. ICMA is located on Lake Como, an area famous all around the world for the landscape, the amazing areas, naturally speaking. And we were built it in the middle of the in a town squeezed between the lake and the mountain. And our company has always been run up with the idea to try to preserve the land where we are working. So also before the COVID, we were ready in order to satisfy the new clients' demands, the fashion brands' demand, speaking about those topics.
So it was demands from your customers that said, in order for you to be a supplier to us, we're going to rank you on these categories. And so you were ahead of the pack. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Okay, great. That's very helpful. Let's also go, operating in this COVID world. One of the challenges that we had discussed prior to the audience joining us is that one of the things that we're seeing within the Manufacturing Excellence Network of YPO is the fact that every one of our members is being affected by one of three areas, and some of them are being affected by all three of these, and that is specifically inflation, companies are paying more for products today than they were last year. And this is something that we've seen, by the way, across the board. A friend of mine that sells cleaning solutions and his chemicals, he said every one of his base chemicals, he's paying 50% more to 100% more today than he was last year. We also, second area that people are struggling with is labor recruitment, labor retention. It depends globally because here in the States, we've had some governmental program that's impacted it. I'm sure, in India, Italy, and for our other members around the world, they have their own challenges. And then the third thing, obviously, pick up the paper, and it's a space that we play in, is supply chain issues. It had a big impact. So, against that backdrop, some members, like I said, have been hit by all three. Some of them, one has been more relevant than the other. So, Gayatri, walk us through some of the challenges that your business, some of the things that you're having to address today in terms of moving your organization forward.
So I will just address for a minute the point on sustainability. Actually, ours being a handmade product, there's no machines and there's no equipment really. So we never had that problem of having an issue with your effect on the environment as such because it's man-made. But what we do, and we were always audited by international companies for luxury brands. So we always had to have compliances in place and labor laws in place, etc. So bringing that into where we are today currently, we already had these practices of keeping labor in a very refined kind of an employment, which was making it attractive for them to work with us compared to being in a sweatshop or being in a more local kind of a business. So we already you have to pay them all their benefits, you have to give them higher wages. It is difficult to acquire good skilled labor because our labor is basically migrant labor. They come from the northeast of India. And through the pandemic, actually, we held on to our people. We have about 500 in-house. But there were several companies and organizations around which had to let people go. And that gave them a bit of a scare. And it's a little difficult to kind of get them back. So it is not super easy to find them. But once they do come in, you still have to train them. You still have to bring them up to speed, which was not so much the case before because they were already, existing a lot in Bombay City through the different companies. So retaining labor is definitely a challenge, but I think that we did overcome that prior to COVID because we are a sustainable compliant factory and we had to be one to work with luxury brands. You have to make sure as I said, they're as good as any other employee in your organization with terms to all the benefits that an employee receives, and making sure, that they have all those things is what helps to keep them going and makes their job also more attractive for the new fresher lot of labor that does come looking around for a job. So that's for labor. And in terms of supply chain, again, because we're handmade, it's a very transparent supply chain where we basically do a lot in-house, but we also subcontract to factories right around where we are. So those again are they already go through compliance, they already go through a way to where we set them up and we know exactly how things are being made. So where our issue is in the material, because the material, be it the fabric or the materials that we used to use for the embroidery, those come from either a client, which means either from Europe or America, or it comes from China, which is like a lot of the sequins and the beads and the materials that we use come from China. So here the supply chain was an issue because when the pandemic struck, all the imports from China to India were closed, and material was very scarce and prices went up. So for us, supply chain for material is very important. And the new part that has gotten added in there, like Elena says, is definitely making sure we're using more recyclable, more material, which is actually, easy to recycle or to use again, or is easily to be disposed. So people are looking for more natural elements rather than a lot of, or if it's plastic, it should be, something that you can recycle. So I think there is those challenges in both acquiring our raw materials in the supply chain to make sure it's moving well. But other than that, I think as we go on, we have to keep, as I said, keep figuring out new ways, new means to stay on top of all these current issues.
Well, let me just take one of the items out of the parking lot here for a moment. You know, you said innovation was crucial. You said during the COVID, you basically diversified, got into different businesses. What percentage of the revenue, not the revenue itself, but the percentage of the revenue is coming from these new diverse initiatives?
So they just started last year, and like any business, a business needs time to, settle and grow. But we hope that they can become, equal powers and players, because what is innovation is basically using the same resources, the same people in the factory to do the same job, but the end product is different. So instead of making a dress or a jacket, I can embroider on, let's say, a bed cover or a home furnishing item, or a piece of art. So that is the diversification, is the end product, but the way to make it and the process and the supply chain, everything stays the same. So we hope it could equal and get better. But as my current fashion business is 22 years old, I think it will take a few years for these, and the brand that we've just launched called Gaia, it will take a few years for them to set up and become a part of become a significant part of our revenue.
Okay, Alina, help us understand your journey, the challenges that you're experiencing in the COVID world, what they might be outside of the sustainability aspect. What are some of the key issues that maybe keep you up at night type things?
One of the biggest challenges right now is the supply chain. As for Guthrie, to find the raw material is very, very difficult, despite for their price, because they are more than double, more and more, basically. But there is also a matter of a disruption of furniture, of suppliers. We had to challenge and to work from two sides. From the client side, in order to go deeper in discussion with them, in order to better understand their needs, and to find their needs before they have them, because now we cannot guarantee them the flexibility they are used to have in our business. So we have to help them to plan their future needs. And to the other side, with the supplier, from one point of view, we are lucky because we have strong relationship with our supplier. We generally prefer a long time relation with supplier. So even if they have a long delivery time right now, a huge delivery time, they can guarantee us the continue of the supplier of the furniture, of raw material, the selling of raw material. I think it's a mess for the research and development of new products, because if you have to looking for a new raw material, if you have to talk with a new supplier because you need that specific elements, and you are not in their client list, they cannot have the chance to reply you, not serve you, not send you samples, not trying to plan the future, plan new products, plan new developments, plan new ideas. It's very, very difficult to try to implement them, because there is nothing to work on despite your ideas.
Okay, so walking that through, I've got an issue with materials. How do I address that? How do I, and I've got long-term relationships with suppliers. I mean, they loved your great grandmother, they loved your parents, they loved your great, they love everybody, but you're still having a hard time getting materials. How do you address that? What are some, because I'm sure people listening to this are saying, yeah, that's me. She's talking to me. Help me understand some of the things that you have done to get that material.
Sorry, what do you mean?
you're having a hard time getting some of these. How do you get the materials you need to produce the products your customers are expecting?
Since we have long time relationship, and they have to care few raw material they have to choice as everyone have to do between different clients. And if you have a long relationship with one client, they pay you always on time. You have it's reliable clients, and you can work with your clients today, but also tomorrow after the pandemic. Also, when the pandemic will gone, you continue working and try to help clients that has been always on your side.
Okay.
I think is like a normal relationship with friends, as a personal, in a personal side. You try always to help people you know instead of people you don't know.
Okay, one of the things where I was going with that is, we've done within the Manufacturing Excellence Network, one of the things we make available to our members are these industry insight sessions. I mentioned earlier where it's members coming together with other members, and that is a great learning resource. How are you doing this, and how are you doing that? And Elena, one of the things that we are seeing, for example, and one of my customers is a very painful exercise, but you talked about impacting your flexibility, I think, with the materials aspect. We're seeing an exercise we call SKU rationalization, where companies are basically having to say, we produce this many items, this number of SKUs, but now based on the material that we can get our hands on, we need to make decisions where we're going to use that material and which products we're going to cut out. And Gayatri, maybe one of the things I found interesting, you said you're being able to use the same resources to produce different end products. You're expanding your product portfolio, but at the same time, we have some of our members in one of the challenges having to reduce their product portfolio because of the availability of materials. Just an observation. I don't know if you all have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, but what your friend is doing is, it's like if he's making dresses, he's probably making like 1,000 SKUs of dresses. So it's the same product but different styles. So what I'm doing is I'm making dresses. One is fashion, and then there's home. It's a different industry. So I'm using the same resource, but not to make more of the same product, but different, more products in different industries. So it's a different story.
Okay. One of the things, we are getting some questions coming in, and I want to mention this. We had a question come in that dealt with the topic of sustainability, and it basically said, this came from McGrath on LinkedIn, sustainability is a very broad topic. How does the luxury fashion segment ensure that the products being made are cost effective? I guess one of the perceptions I had when you're talking luxury brands, cost is important, but it's not what drives the issue. It's not, a transactional. Is the sustainability in the cost factor? Are those things issues that you have to deal with?
No. So sustainability is not about cost. Sustainability is about in terms of your factory way and how your goods are made and what impact they have on the environment. And the second sustainability would be in terms of the product, the materials used to create the product. So for us, the sustainability and price is not the issue. It's more about how your product is made and what is used to make it. That's what really sustainable, the topic of sustainability within the fashion world is more pertaining to.
Okay. Elena, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, basically it's the same. There is a not strict relation between the two topics. Sustainability is an approach. Sustainability can be on the process and on the product, and it's separate from the cost that you obtain. You can have a very sustainable product and a low cost, or and exactly the opposite. So
That's interesting. So what I just want to make sure I heard that correct. What you're basically saying is that, a lot of people think, and maybe that's from a North American perspective because of just some of the variables associated with sustainability. You're saying that sustainability doesn't necessarily lead to higher cost. It is just a different approach to business and how resources are being used. Would that be an
Exactly.
accurate assessment? Okay. We also have a question that came in from YouTube here, and basically asking about the COVID, the pandemic effects. Has that had a significant impact on your international business? And do you expect it to, it could be positive. I know one of the things here in the States, the e-commerce numbers are absolutely crazy, explosively there. And, some of your customers may be benefiting from that. Has COVID impacted that how you do business internationally, Gayatri?
So, COVID has affected the luxury fashion business, as I said, about 70% last year, and now slowly making its way back up. It'll take time. Because you see, like a Valentino gown or like something which is really high value, you can't really buy online. But the mid level brands, the premium brands, which are below luxury, those can be bought online. They can retail anywhere from 1,000 to a couple thousand at the max dollars or euros. You can still buy those online, and you will find that those brands sell better and we are still selling quite well. The brands that are doing best are the ones that are online, which are much slightly one level below even those, anywhere from 500 to $1,500. Those brands are selling off the hook, and they're the ones that are doing really well. Of course, the mass market must be as well, but I'm talking in our world of fashion, from premium luxury to the luxury brands. Luxury completely only the accessories and things you can buy, but I think luxury is something that you like to touch, feel, and look at personally to really buy, spend the money and buy it. And although yes, does sell online, I think it really needs the physical stores and the availability to see it, at least for fashion.
Lena, any thoughts there?
Oh, no, that's Guthrie said basically everything.
Okay, so let's just talk about this. One of the other things that we have been talking about within the Manufacturing Excellence Network, we've been providing some classes to our members about, supply chain issues. One of the things that we had David Simchi-Levy from MIT lead 3 classes and talked about stress testing your supply chains. So, one of the things there that a lot of our members have focused on are lean principles and maintaining their inventories at the lowest possible levels. Has the COVID related issues and some of the supply chain issues altered your inventory sourcing strategies? Are you building up, adding to your inventory, increasing your buffer stock, safety stocks? Gayatri, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, actually, ours is a made to order business. So we only buy materials once we get the order. We don't just make stock because it's a very specific and expensive product. So, but what it is yes, the raw material like the base fabrics, silks, and or maybe some embroidery accessories that we use to use on these, which we use regularly and a lot. We are tending to keep them, but they don't cost that much. We are tending to stock them just because what happened with us when the imports and shipping are definitely slow post COVID. I could ship by FedEx something for in 2 days to say Paris, or I could receive something from somewhere in 2 days. Now everything takes not less than 5 days to a week to even 8 9 days. So we are stocking basically our elements that we use for the embroideries, whether it's a fabric or the accessory, which we didn't. But it's not a very high value cost because we don't really keep any other made inventory with us because it's a made to order business.
Okay. Lena, any thoughts from in your end? Is it affected your inventory?
Yes, a lot. Because for some products, the delivery time instead in our business, delivery time standard is 1 month basically, and now is 4 or 5 months. So we started to plan better the inventory and sometimes try to stock more products than previously because we are living we are with a suffering from the supply side. Instead, the customers day after day they are increasing their demand. So we have to try to continue satisfying an increasing demand with a long delivery time from the raw material side.
So, you know, what's kind of curious, if you don't mind me bringing this up, you said the customers are increasing demands, but several minutes ago you said at the same time you're having dialogues about limiting flexibility.
No, we have a limit of flexibility. Our clients for their standard, for the market habits, upon the mobile or wrote an email, I need some paper for tomorrow. That's fine. Today I send it, and tomorrow you have your paper. Or for specific products, the delivery time was 1 month. Today, for products on demand, for example, we have some raw material suffering because the company before us have a delay of their supplying raw material. So in some cases, we don't have raw material to transform and sell and give products to our clients. So we increase the dialogue with the clients, specific for corporate packaging, where the packaging is already scheduled, but they don't know exactly when they will need it. So we try to talk with them, understand their stock, and plan with them the delivery time in order to be sure we will receive raw material and can respect the delivery time we gave to the clients. Don't know if I replied to your question.
Yeah, well, you know, let me just throw out something to you there, because you know, within YPO, one of the other aspects, like I said, members learning from members. We have these, you know, we all attend different industry conferences, and some of these conferences, we have what's known as a meeting within a meeting, where other YPOers get together. You know, we're in similar industries, and we can get together and talk through some of the challenges. Some of you may be members of to this, the Retail Network, for example, which does an absolutely dynamite job of, you know, getting people together and sharing common concerns. Where I'm going with all this is that at one of those meetings to meetings, I had a very interesting conversation with a member, and he said 2022 is going to be the year of the different dialogue. He called it the year of the different dialogue. He said we are going to be changing the conversations that we have with our customers and our suppliers. And I bring this up, Elena, because I think it's something that you were referencing there. He said, you know, the traditional customer-supplier relationship is you're the customer, I'm the supplier, I'll, you know, do whatever I need to do to keep you happy, you know, raving fans and all that kind of stuff. He said, but that's going to change. And it's not that you're any less important to me, but it's going to be an understanding that you need me and I need you. And
exactly.
So teeter-totter, we can balance this off, because I think this is what I heard you saying. You know, if you're dealing with your suppliers, for example, it's the same. You need them, they need you. How can we approach this together? Because the rules of the game have changed.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
Yeah, I was talking yesterday. A friend of mine, he was saying our whole procurement process has changed. He said we used to basically go online, order the product, and expect it in our shop in 2 days. He said now we're spending an inordinate amount of time calling the supplier, verifying that they have it in stock, and then placing the order. Because if we don't do that, what we're going to find out is our operations planning is looking at having the product available in 2 days. 3 days later, we get a notification that they're out of stock, and it puts us into a scurry mode where we have to hurry up and try and get things done. Gayatri, any thoughts about that different dialogue concept? Is that something that you're experiencing as well with your customers and suppliers? Gayatri, hold on just 1 second. You might be on mute. Yeah, we can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yeah. So if you could start over.
Sorry, I was saying that, yes, I was mentioning this before, that actually for us, materials are available with our suppliers, may it be in China or Italy or France or New York. But the problem is the shipping. So where we could, because I said we are on order business. Once we get the order, then we start procuring the material and then making the goods. So for us, it's very important to get them quickly because our delivery times are very they're small. Our windows are like 4 to 6 weeks, and so that's really tight. So if we're going to lose 2 weeks on shipping, where we used to get, post-COVID, where we used to get shipping in 2 or 3 days, that's a big loss of time on which we could be spending on actually making the product. So for us, that is a big problem. So we do ask now the clients to give us a heads up when they get a forecast instead of waiting for a purchase order, when they're just all the way ready. So this gives us a heads up so that we can get the material, at least procure it and have it sent over to us in advance.
Okay. Alina, any thoughts on your end in terms of that different dialogue? You might be on mute as well.
How do we go on mute?
Sorry.
Okay.
As I already told you, we start a different talking approach with the client or with the supplier. Because right now we believe is the only way in order to try to don't break the supply chain.
Okay. Last week, as I mentioned to the audience here, one of the real values of YPO is our ability to access experts around the world. And last week we did a special session on financial aspects of your balance sheet and the impact of supply chain disruptions on balance sheets and financing and this type of thing. We had a great resource, Ami Kassar, who shared some insights. And one of the things we have seen here, and I just want to, we don't need to spend a lot of time on this, but one of the fallouts from COVID and the changes in material sourcing strategies is that it's having a real impact on financing capacity. So we were talking about different strategies, asset-based loans, or different types of capacity. We're seeing customers, some of our members are experiencing customers that are taking their accounts receivable from 45 days to 60 days to 90 days. One of my friends who's a member said basically, one of my customers has an innovative program. They want to pay you once every 180 days, whether you need the cash or not.
Oh.
And so I was just wondering, has COVID, it had an impact on your balance sheet? And if so, how are you addressing some of those?
So actually, we've gone the other way around because in fashion, businesses close up really quickly. So besides like the top luxury brands, the other ones, we did have a couple. Unfortunately, I'll name one. It's called Ralph and Russo. They were a big luxury brand in the UK, and they just folded overnight. And we were their first supplier from when they started 12 years ago. And we had a big balance with them, which we've lost. They sold the company to somebody, and we've not recovered any money from there. So actually, we had to do the reverse. We shorter and tighter times for payment. We're more crisp on collection, and those who can't, it's not worth the business to have loss. Because this was an old client, we never knew one morning we're going to wake up and get the news that they're folding down and they owe us X amount of money. So for us, it's actually the opposite impact because fashion can be, brands are in and gone tomorrow. Of course, the old luxury houses which are there, we know them, and they're the ones that pay on time. So with them, we've just stayed the way we are.
Okay, Elena, your thoughts on the financial aspect, balance sheet issues? Any thoughts there?
changing the supplying model affect directly to the financial system. Luckily for us, and despite my university professor teaching me, we always decided to be very well covered from the financial side. So in a crisis, in a worldwide crisis like we had last year, this very soft and calm approach helped us a lot and basically saved us. In Italy, but I think all around the world, companies that were too much financially exposed suffered more than other companies, and some of them had to close last year, caused only for financial problems, financial crisis.
Yeah, that's interesting. There is a question that came in from via LinkedIn, and this is kind of an interesting one because Elena, you were talking about relationships, long-standing relationships with your suppliers, and but one of the questions that came in for both of you is, the scope of working with new suppliers across the globe who may be making new sustainable raw materials which might meet the needs of your high-end customers. And how do you balance between a supplier who's got something new and how it could impact your long-standing relationship with the existing supplier? Can you basically touch on that, Gayatri?
Yeah, we're very open to it. We're always looking for new suppliers, and we're always looking for new materials and innovative materials, sustainable materials, recyclable materials, whatever the category they are. So we are very open to it. It doesn't matter who we have. It's a very cutthroat business, fashion world is. And, we have to do and buy what's best in terms of a product. And if we can show something new to our clients, which has some special, characteristics, it'll be better for us. So we have to do what it takes to get those materials. And yes, we would love to source those.
Okay. Elena, any thoughts on your end? You mentioned the value of relationships and the long-standing relationships. How do you take advantage of new innovations from suppliers that, you've never, haven't been in your portfolio?
Yeah, sure. Because if your actual supplier are not able to supply you specific raw material, new products, or what you are looking for creating something new, you have to talk with someone else that can give what you need. So, for example, now we are working and developing a product with a bio-based raw material. If our supplier cannot give us efficient bio-based raw material, we have to switch and looking for someone new supplier. Someone else can help us in our research.
Okay, but how do you then reconcile that with the vendor long-standing supplier who is no longer going to be getting the volume of business with you?
Sometimes they can continue working with us, or sometimes they do their research in order to
Go ahead. I'm sorry. There's some background there. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry. Sometimes our suppliers are doing some research and developing in order to improve their products so they can help us in our research.
Okay, great. Gayatri, we had somebody ask a question here, and basically they asked, one of the things that has also changed in the COVID world is the ability to travel and get face-to-face. And one of the questions that was asked is, in the past, did you attend shows such as Premier Vision? Not sure what that is. And did you find value in them, or do you receive more of your business through Fashion City locations and Zoom calls? Can you answer that one?
Yeah, Premier Vision is basically it's like a trade show in Paris, which is twice a year in fall, winter, and spring, summer. So in February and September, and it basically has vendors there who sell fabrics and accessories and things. It's not really a proper place for a company like ours, which does embellishment, because ours is very customized and particular. So when we go to meet a client, we can't just we take and show them embroideries and designs and ideas that they would like, which is different from what, like, Dolce Gabbana would like something different from what Versace likes, is different from what Ralph and Russo like. So we have to create samples and show it catered to each client. So for us to be at Premier Vision doesn't make that much sense. We have actually done it in the past when we were starting out, but we didn't find the connection there with the kind of brands that we wanted to work with. It was better for fabric people, I think, would just do like regular fabrics. And what was the other question? Zoom calls and yeah. So for us, marketing is better in fashion cities for sure. I can tell you, Europe was very resistant for Zoom calls. My clients in Italy and France, it's like they've come out of a deep slumber because they were very resistant. They just like to meet you in person. They like to chat. They like to, that's the culture, Italians and French, and they like to talk to you in person. So for them to, and actually that's why earlier pre-COVID, I used to travel a lot. I was always in and out of all these countries, meeting clients and so on. And now they had to change, and they're coming onto that Zoom reluctantly, although, and but now they're seeing value for it. That it is quite a good way to do a quick chat and yet feel a little personal rather than on a phone call.
Okay, so we have one last question, but I do have to tell you, Elena, you know the Italian alphabet: A, a B, a C, a D, an E.
But Elena, you agree, right? Italians love to chit chat and like be in person, and
I have a friend of mine who's very Italian, and in Chicago here, this type of stuff.
Yeah.
Or as our old mayor and Mayor Daley used to say in Chicago, we love our Italians. Hey, let's wrap it up with one final question here, and I've talked about, I've been in YPO for almost 30 years. Your reflections on your personal journey within YPO as leaders. We have 30,000 members plus in 142 different countries. I know we've been very involved in the family, have done a lot of different things, traveled the world through because of YPO. One of my favorites is my son was in class. He mentioned he had seen Mount Everest. The teacher thought he was kidding. And I said, no, he was in Kathmandu on Air Buddha Airlines on a YPO trip. And we saw Mount Everest. But can you just share with us, your journey, whether as a founder, the entrepreneur, Elena, you're operating a business that your great grandmother started. What has YPO meant to you?
I found a great opportunity, as I told you, I found a great opportunity to talk with a peer and discuss with them about ideas. And for example, with some YPO friends, I talk with them about my new idea to add an e-commerce business to consumer brand in my portfolio. So in order to sell ICMA products also to end users, all the people love create gifts, or they want a high quality stationery and to build up the new brand, and they help me. They helped me in order to focus what I want to create in order to give to this e-commerce a new brand. We call it Manamant instead of ICMA, because we decided to give it his own identity. And the discussion and the meeting with my peers and YPOers helped me in order to focus and create something new. I think this is an amazing added value.
Great. Thank you so much. Gayatri, close us out in terms of your journey in YPO. Has it helped you build your business? Has it been, personally, help us understand the value?
Yeah, I mean, I think that being around, like-minded and similar people who on various journeys, although ours are all different, but at least similar, as whether we're entrepreneurs or founders or however we are. But the fact remains that we can inspire each other. I think a lot. The idea to re-innovate and use my resources to diversify into different industries, that definitely came as an inspiration from the kind of people I was talking to, and learning from each other, learning how their journeys were, and learning how you could maybe imbibe some of those things in your own. Also, wonderful relationships as people, as friends, kind of in the same place of your life, at this point where you find yourselves in a similar situation, not just work-wise, but maybe personally. So I think the connection is quite wonderful for the people that we have met and I have met. And I'm looking forward to really more of it now that we can actually start meeting in person rather than on Zoom calls. And we have our first in-person event on Saturday, so I'm looking forward to getting back to that.
Well, years ago, I was part of wrapping it up, YPO, a speech contest. They had a speech contest there, and I got to fly out to Turkey, and it was what was the most important aspect within YPO. As an organization, we say better leaders through education and continuous learning. But the value of YPO for me has been in relationships, and it's a real pleasure to expand my relationship base with you, Gayatri, Elena, as well as we've got some great resources in the background, Carrie and Daniela. And what I'd like to do is if you have any further questions, you can follow up on the YPO site. We'd love to explain the benefits for the members here. Want to make sure you understand the power of the network. And so what I'd like to do is just close out our time together here by showing you a brief little video that highlights the value of the Manufacturing Excellence Network. I have to say, we think it's the best business network within all of YPO, and that's saying something because YPO has some great networks. So Daniela, if you'll take us to the home stretch and close us out with this little video, we want to say thank you to everybody for their time.
Thank you for having me on this. It was wonderful and lovely to meet all of you and talk to you. And Elena, good to see you too. All the best, and thank you, Mike.
Elena, thank you. You any count?
Yeah. No, thank you for.
What makes MXN unique to me? MXN, which is Manufacturing Excellence Network, has a real opportunity to help everybody. It isn't just for manufacturers, it's for everybody who wants to improve the operational efficiency of their business. So really, if you want to make more money, reduce waste, and have less frustrations in your business, you belong in the Manufacturing Excellence Network.
I think I've been involved with YPO for the last 9 years, actually not as a member, as a key staff first, before I took on the role of president. And it just exposed me to world leaders in all kinds of areas of expertise. And so we got to travel with them and see operations, actual manufacturing with world-class manufacturers around the world, in Japan, in Michigan, in South Carolina, in Kentucky, and be able to see actual demonstrations of what world-class manufacturing looks like. That changed everything.
It's been a great opportunity to meet quarterly with people who are in manufacturing, and we get the details about manufacturing. We're not talking about some of the other things that are going on in other businesses that you sometimes get out of forum. You really get down into the nitty-gritty of manufacturing within the forum experience, which is really great.
I mean, our plant manager, Barry Dowda, started with us 20 years ago as a shipping supervisor, and he was a country smart guy from Cedartown, Georgia, smartest boy in town. And now he's a through the 20-year journey that he's gone through learning, through education, personal education, lean education, getting out and seeing other facilities. He's really running a top-notch facility. And I couldn't have done it without the YPO input.
The basic YPO concept is it's lonely at the top. And that is so incredibly true sometimes when, especially my companies are both fairly small. So there isn't a lot of interaction. So unless you get outside of the chair and get to an environment that tests your ideas, gives you new ideas.
Almost everything that they do is around practical, useful information. And I know for myself, actually seeing something and being able to put my hands on something in somebody else's facility, the way that they're doing whatever process it may be, is how I'm able to understand it better and internalize it and then adapt it.
We've found enormous value in the network side of YPO. Over the last 2 years, I've actually been now in the chapter, and there's enormous value in forum and in events and educational events locally. But the networks really add a significant, distinct advantage because we can actually work with just manufacturers across the world, and you can see more, experience more, and find like-minded folks who are on the same journey.